Millennials got screwed over and are currently paying for it. The average 35-year-old can't afford a home. The kids they have are eating up too much of the budget, or they don't plan on having kids at all due to the same reasons. And if you think you're some wise guy and are just waiting for the market to tank, well, sorry to break it to you, buddy. But no matter how much the market drops, you'll still never have quite the same amount of buying power as your dad once did only about 20 years ago before your miserable existence. Nowadays, most middle-aged adults are busy with a schedule of side jobs just to stay afloat. And if you are personally the depressed person that we're talking about, you've been him before, or you plan on growing up to be him, let's talk about that. And just like every other video, if you enjoy videos discussing how shitty life is, and how much it absolutely sucks to be alive these days, then don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts and opinions down below. Now, let's begin today's shit show.
Average millennial is 36 years old. They can't afford to buy the house. So therefore, their future self is poorer. If they think of how much of the stock market they can buy less with their money. They have less savings. They've got debts from university. So they don't have the ability to get out of this trap. And then what you're finding is because of this, they're having to live with other people into their 30s. They don't have kids and they don't get married. And these numbers have collapsed since 1983. You've seen these numbers come down from people living on their own. So i.e. you could get your job, get yourself an apartment. It's gone from 80% to 62%. You're seeing the marriage rate halve. You see then the same cohort of kids in their 30s doing 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4 jobs. That's not because they want to. Nobody wants to work 12-hour days, 7 days a week. It's because they have to. And their parents, the baby boomers, never had that. They were the richest generation the world had ever seen. So this is the first generation that won't be as rich as their parents. And that's a weird thing because we're all used to human progress, the American dream. If the American dream is, well, you'll never be as wealthy as your parents, and they were middle-class people and I'm now less well off than them, that's kind of...
The good old idea of buying a house. That idea has lost concept with many young folks, and as much as we talk about Gen Z and Generation Alpha and whoever comes after that, the people that are just stuck right in the middle of it are the Millennials. And if you didn't really buy your home a few years back, 5 to 10 years ago, let's say about 5, good luck. A lot of you guys are probably waiting on the market to tank. I've heard a lot of talk about that. I've heard a lot of talk about, that the market will never tank and it'll just keep on rising. So maybe a home is a good investment, but maybe we're all living in a bubble and the 2008 crash is upon us again, but who knows? I personally don't have any investments, so whenever the stock market crashes, whenever the housing market crashes, honestly, none of it ever affects me because I'm the average American. I have no hand in any of this, so I just sit around on the sidelines and watch the games begin. But honestly, though, it is kind of sad to think how just the overall idea of having a spot to sleep your head at night and raise a family and have a stable foundation, that's not really in the budget anymore for the average American. And you think by the age of 35, I would hope, back when I was young, I would hope by 25, I would have a more of a settled down type of lifestyle. And now I'm 25 and I'm a nomad who pretty much owns about 2 bags of stuff, a cat, some of my electronics. I do have a mattress, but I usually keep that at one of my family's houses that I crash at, which is where I have my ID. And pretty much I just travel around because having a foundation costs too much.
Young people are refusing to buy homes, get married, or have children in alarming numbers. And it's not a rebellion, it's survival. They're telling us something is deeply broken. Across the Western world, millennials and Gen Zs aren't just delaying adulthood, they're watching the foundations of a stable life disappear. Homeownership, they're priced out. Marriage is too expensive, and kids, they can't afford those either. The average house in places like New Zealand, the US and the UK now costs 10 times the median income. Wages haven't kept up, student debt is crushing, and rent eats half your pay if you're lucky. And the bank, they want a 20% deposit while you're choosing between food and heating. Marriage rates are the lowest in recorded history in many developed nations. And it's not about Tinder, it's about cost of living. Weddings cost tens of thousands of dollars, and divorce costs even more. When survival is the priority, love becomes a luxury. Birth rates are dropping below replacement level in most rich countries. And not because people hate kids, but because the math doesn't work out. Daycare is like a second mortgage. 1 income doesn't cut it, 2 incomes don't even cut it. So people opt out. And this isn't laziness, it's a rational response to a broken system. Young people want stability, but the system is rigged against them. And when a whole generation loses hope, that's not a phase, that's a warning.
When I was growing up, I always heard this good old saying that was told to me. It was what was it? It was, oh yeah, you wish you want to grow up until you do, and then you wish you were a kid again. And I'm probably saying that wrong, but it's like, you say your whole life as a kid, I can't wait till I grow up. I can't wait till I'm older and I get to have all these different privileges. I can do whatever I want. I'll have money. Ha, yeah, right. And then you get to this adulthood. There's no money. The freedom that you thought you had costs money. And all those things you thought you could have, like, a wife, kids, a house, all those are so unattainable to the average person, at least through the perspective of themselves. And then you look around everybody and you see everybody else having it, and you're like, how did they attain all this? Even though at the same time, they're probably all looking at each other thinking the same thing. How did you attain what I want? How did you attain what I want? When nobody really appreciates what they have within themselves. And that's kind of the overall, capitalism, current society that we all live in, is that you never really have to be happy. You never really should be happy. At least not with these advertisements. You should always be wanting more, wanting new, wanting different. And if you are satisfied, there's only a new edition coming out next week. Now, the new edition these days is lifestyles. And unfortunately, the lifestyle is, they solved all these problems with washing machines, dishwashers, so we have more time to be at the factories, to be in the rat race wheels and spinning it all along to keep the system running. And at the end of the day, you think that with investing all this time into these systems, you'd at least get something to show for it and some return on your investment. But even the return that was way back in the day when you get more time on your hands, now you get less time and you get less return on your investment. So what's really going on here, folks? The society that we're living in right now seems kind of like a scam, if you ask me.
If I hear one more person ask why millennials aren't buying houses, let me tell you why millennials aren't buying houses. Because me and my fiance qualify to rent a house where the rent is $2,000 a month. We pay $2,000 a month consistently, on time, without fail. But a bank will tell us that we don't qualify to buy a house, that the mortgage is $1,500. And then a country that is trillions of dollars in debt will have the nerve to tell me that my credit score isn't good enough to buy said house. Not to mention that same house that our parents or grandparents paid $180,000 to $200,000 for, yeah, that's now a $400,000 to $500,000 house. And in a world where it's impossible to save money because we literally have to use every dime of every paycheck that we make currently in our current living situation just to survive, no one has $50,000 to put down on a house. So in a world where we would love to own a home with a $1,500 mortgage, we're forced to rent a house for $2,000 because, again, a bank's going to tell me I can't afford the $1,500 mortgage. Make it fucking make sense.
Say you are one of the lucky few people who do make enough money to survive these days. You're not worried about the bare minimum necessities, and you have everything you need and some. And now you're looking at, you're focusing on your next step in life, which is a foundation. Something that we just discussed is really even unimaginable for the average person these days. But let's say you're better than the average person. You are him. Let's say you're actually him, and now you get to that point. Maybe you won't qualify, but you will qualify, not for a mortgage, not for an actual house, for like a 30-year contract, nothing like that. You're not going to have your own land, your own property, so you can just follow all the HOA rules and be daddied by them. Instead, the bank will allow you to rent an apartment, get this, that is double or triple the monthly price of that mortgage that they didn't qualify you for, because apparently you can't afford that. Now, personally, I don't really mind renting too much, because who knows how long I'm going to live. I've had multiple times when I was renting where my stove went out, my washer and dryer went out inside my unit, many different things, mice problems, and that was all paid for through my monthly rent payment, which would have been my own personal expense, my own personal cost if I lived in my own, through my own house. But at the end of the day, maybe you can be able to save money if you have a cheaper mortgage, and maybe you can somewhat have an investment if you ever want to flip your house one day or do some sort of renovations to make it more pricey, so you can have somewhat of a, ROI. But at the end of the day, do you really ever expect to own a home? Do you really ever expect to have kids? Do you really ever expect to have any of this? If you do, or if you are lucky enough to find a partner, do you ever plan on settling down? I'd love to know all your guys' thoughts, opinions regarding any of this stuff. That's gonna wrap up this video, and this is the conclusion of how being a millennial sucks ass. I don't know, I'm Gen Z, but as far as I've heard, it can be good or bad. It's either really good or really bad. So feel free to let me know your guys' thoughts, opinions, and your guys' experience, and maybe which generation you're from, and any of your thoughts, opinions, as well as what ideas and which concepts you want me to touch on next, conversations, topics, all that jazz. It's been really rainy around here, which really kind of fits this vibe, you know, the doom and gloom, which is my whole page. But either way, I do appreciate you guys who support. You can check out some of those links down below in the in the description. And yeah, feel free to subscribe, like, comment, subscribe if you like all this stuff. You guys are the best. Doing daily videos around here, daily uploads around societal norms, economic failure, the struggle that is being alive in 2025. But all that rhymed. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one. Feel free to check out my catalog of videos. We have quite a long list. I have quite a long list. And I plan on starting doing like clip channels. I'm going to start kind of doing more. I'm going to break down these videos. We're going to build this audience, guys. We're going to build this community. We're going to be strong around here. So appreciate you guys. Have a good one. See you later.